Today, I'm exposing my entire net worth across all of my investment portfolios. Over the last few weeks, I've given you an update on my Coinbase portfolio, and I've also given you an update on my Trading 212 combined Vanguard portfolio. The last time I did this was in December of 2022, so we're looking maybe 2.5 years ago now. At the time, I had a Vanguard portfolio, I had a Coinbase portfolio, and a Trading 212 general investor account. Overall, that was valued at £17,425. Now, what I'm going to show you today is where that's gone over time. Now, the way that I do this is by using my own personal investing tracking spreadsheet. So what we're going to do really quickly is hop across to Coinbase and then hop across to Trading 212 and see what the total invested net worth currently is, so I can move that across and then we can talk through everything. So if you hop into Coinbase, I'm actually up since the last video that I put out on Coinbase. I'm up to £5,035.60. If we hop across to Trading 212, you can see that we're currently on £38,694.93. So without further ado, I want to hop across to the spreadsheet and talk you through everything. I'll talk you through where we're at, and I'll talk you through the spreadsheet I've put together and show you exactly what it looks like. I started investing back in May of 2019, and since that time, you can see here the total amount that I've actually invested into this portfolio has been £26,231. This means we're averaging around £4,400 per year. If you look on a monthly basis, it works out at around £325 per month. So the total current value of my portfolio is £43,730.76, which for me is absolutely massive and something that's, again, grown through consistency and grown through small incremental investments every single month over time, no matter what, making sure that I pay myself first. So the total return on investment, including dividends, is £17,499.67, which means that I've got a 66.71% return on investment over 6 years on the £26,231 that I've invested. In that time, I've received a total of £2,080 of dividends across my ETFs, my individual stocks and shares, but also through staking things like Ethereum. Over here on the right hand side, you can see my asset weighting. I aim for between 5 and 7.5% weighting towards cryptocurrency. As you can see at the moment, that's significantly above that, but that's because of the cryptocurrency bull run that we've seen of late. So currently my equities are around 88.5% of my overall portfolio, and my cryptocurrency is around 11.5% of my portfolio. The dividend ROI, so this is based on the capital that I've invested and the return on investment in terms of dividends that I've seen on that, is 7.93%, which again, I'm very, very happy with, considering that some of my investments, things like Nvidia, things like Amazon, don't actually pay a dividend, or a very small dividend indeed. So I'm not really looking for massive dividends, so I'm really pleased with that. And the dividend return on investment in terms of when we compare that to the total value of my portfolio is currently 4.76%. So we're in a really, really good position. I couldn't really be happy with where I'm at right now. If you told me 6 years ago when I started investing that I'd have coming up for £50,000 worth of investment, I would have bit your hand off, to be honest with you. We can see it over time here on this graph that I've put together. So the yellow line shows the overall total portfolio, including everything that I'm investing in. The red line shows the equities portion of that portfolio, and then the blue line down here shows the Coinbase or the cryptocurrency element of my portfolio. And you can see that we've kind of seen this really nice uptick since around April, May sort of time of this year. In terms of my overall return on investment for my equities, I'm up 58.18%, having invested £24,462 into equities, and that currently being valued at £38,694. If we come across to my cryptocurrency holdings though, this is where it gets really juicy. I've invested £1,769 into cryptocurrency. That's currently valued at £5,035.74. or a return on investment of 184.67%, which is absolutely outstanding. As we pull through down, we can see each and every single month. So the reason I've done this is because, as you remember, on Vanguard, you had kind of like a monthly update, which showed you what you'd invested that month, what your gain or loss was that month, and what the overall portfolio was worth. I used to do this anyway, but it's now even more important to me, having stepped away from Vanguard and moving to Trading 212, because it doesn't do this in the same way. So what I do at the end of each month is I show how much I've purchased. So you can see the first month that I invested £545, and then I have a look at the total value of that investment at the end of the month. It adds both portfolios together and shows the total over here, and then the total ROI in terms of percentage points as well. So I'll just pull through really, really slowly so you can see kind of where things are at across each of the months. We had a dip in the first month that we ever invested, and then kind of around COVID times, we saw quite a substantial pullback. which was quite scary at the time because I was brand new to investing, about kind of 6 months to a year in. And I lost quite a lot of money through that point. But what I did, as you can see, is I took advantage of that and invested quite a lot of capital through that period of time. I'm really reaping the rewards for now. So over the time I've been investing, I've only actually been at an overall loss at 4 months, at the end of 4 months. And that was last back in 2020 in the COVID period. As I say, I'll continue to pull through and have a look at what's going on. You can see the slow incremental growth down here in terms of percentage, the growth of the Vanguard Trading 2 and 2 portfolio. You can see over here, this is when I was investing in eToro. I wasn't tracking things at that point. I only started to track it when I moved across to Coinbase back in August of 2022. So the last time I did a total overall portfolio update, as I said, was December 2022, just here. And you can see at the end of that, as I said at the beginning, it was 17,425. At the end of that month, though, it was at 17,666, and I was up 13.03%. So we'll carry on pulling down, and you can see, as we say, some real nice jumps here. Massive month down here in February of 2024, where we jumped from 33% rate of return to a 42.5% rate of return. And this is where we can really start to see the compounding effect taking hold. They talk about when you get to £100,000 and how the snowball effect really starts. But I feel like I'm in a position now where I'm actually starting to see that myself. And you can see here, we've gone from £28,000 up to £33,000 in a very, very quick period of time. We've gained around £5,500 in 3 or 4 months there. We then got to an all-time high at the beginning of the year, which was January 2025. My portfolio was valued at just under £40,000 with a rate of return of 65.98%. But then, as we know, the orange man opened his mouth, Trump discussed tariffs, and we saw real market pullbacks. So you can see it dropped from just under £40,000 right down to kind of 36,000. It was actually a lot lower than that at some points, but just not at the end of the month, so I never actually tracked it. But you can see throughout that pullback, I managed to get quite a lot of capital in. So I invested on average £505 a month across those 4 months, which is going to, again, really reap the rewards when we come out the other side and continue that growth. And you can see this month so far, obviously not at the end of July yet, we're almost at the end of July, but we've seen around a £4,000 jump from the end of June to July where we sit now. So that's a 12% jump in terms of overall rate of return across the entire portfolio. So you've moved from 54.11% rate of return to 66.71%. It's been an absolutely brilliant month for me in terms of investing. In terms of that, I've only invested £330 of that gain. So lots of that is just from capital appreciation. And yeah, really, really good position. So in terms of my overall portfolio, I could not be happy with where we're at right now. The other tab we've got down here is the dividends tab. So this tracks every single dividend that I've ever received, including the staking of Ethereum. What I do is I track it across each and every month, so I can see month on month versus year on year how things are going. And you can see we've got from 2019 all the way through to 2025 down here. And you can see that steadily over time, each of the months have increased in terms of dividend income, up to July of this year, which was my largest ever month, where I made £199.51 in dividends in that month alone. This was because I received Vanguard dividends at the beginning of this month, as we'll see in a minute. So if you pull down the next screen, you've got the dividend income broken down per month and per year. Again, that's what's used within this graph to pull things through. Each year as well, we can have a look at each of the dividends that I've been receiving from each company, but that's kind of more of the granular detail that's not necessarily of interest to you. As I mentioned in my last portfolio update, I received £191.06 from all of my ETFs earlier this month, which is kind of the largest monthly dividend that I've ever received, which is absolutely fantastic. The only other thing I want to point out to you is the yearly total. I've tracked that year on year since starting to invest, from £10.19 in the first year all the way up to £585 last year. Currently got just under £500 this year. My monthly average dividend so far this year is £41.39, but that's scaled across the full year, so it's actually a lot more than that. The actual average so far this year is £70.95. So there we have it, my entire portfolio valued at £43,730.67 with a rate of return of 66.71%. Again, I want to make this very, very clear. This is not about trying to show off whatsoever. This is about showing what people can do, what real people can do if they have consistency and they start investing for their future. But anybody can do this, even if you just set aside 10, 15, 20 pounds, it will add up over time. I'm hoping that this demonstrates that it's really possible for anybody, gives you that motivation to get started. And if you do have any questions, please do reach out in the comments below. I'll make sure I answer every single question about my own personal journey and trying to help you get started as well. Obviously, nothing that I talk about is ever financial advice. I'm not a qualified financial advisor. I can't do that. You've got to make your own investing decisions and be comfortable with the risk that you're taking on. But I think it's really important for people to understand this and think about it as an option for them. If you haven't used Trading 212 before, check out the link in the description below. That gives you a free share valued up to £100 when you sign up and invest just a small amount. Equally, if you want to see more videos like this, please do subscribe to the channel. I'll always do lots of portfolio updates, but also try to give some educational content to hopefully give you the confidence to get started yourself and invest for your future. But with that said, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and I'll see you in the next one.